We're live.
Awesome. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another LTS meeting. Today we have myself, Gibson, James Snell, Miles Borens, Michael Dawson. So, should we get started? First thing on the agenda is, the only thing on the agenda, is the chartering the release team as a working group PR in the CTC repo. So, I guess, Michael, the point was to try and
I added that on. You know, there's been some discussion back and forth. I think in the end, like, I've addressed all the comments so far, and I really just added it on to the for discussion today to make sure that we close on it. You know, I don't see any objections, but again, I think we want to have the next steps, as I see this, you know, get a few more people chiming in saying yes, it looks good, and then I think we were going to take it to the CTC, right?
Yep.
I think it reflects the three main things that we discussed in terms of, you know, there's now the three groups.
Out of interest, is everyone in the release working group also in the CTC?
No.
No.
Okay. Because otherwise, obviously, they'd all like see it and have a chance to talk about it at the CTC meeting where it was brought up.
Most are, but not all.
Right.
We certainly, you know, at CC'd the release group. Most of them are here. I'm just seeing, I think Evans, just there's not, the most, a bunch of the people are also part of the LTS group, so they've been involved on that side. Evan's certainly been one of the reviewers, so he's aware. So I guess really, I don't know, I don't have much to say other than, you know, if there are big objections or still things to discuss, we should discuss them now. Otherwise, if we could just get a few more people to look and say, yeah, it's, you know, let's move forward and get the CTC review, or we still have more work to do.
Yeah, I know. I just need to go through it and take the time to actually properly make sure everything's good for me.
Yeah, I have not had a chance to read through it since the last bit of, you know, noodling with the text. I'll find time this week to review it and throw my sign off on it. Just the high level things that you can maybe speak to. We definitely pivoted to it being release rather than LTS, correct?
Yeah, yeah. It's all release is the working group. LTS is one of the subgroups within that.
Excellent.
So it reflects that. It has the three teams that we talked about in terms of, you know, there's the release working group, and under that are the SIGIM, LTS, and releasers working group.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Hey, Sam.
Hello.
Hey, sorry guys, I had to rip myself out of another meeting.
No problem. So yeah, so I think it reflects everything we've discussed. So it's just a matter of, yeah, if you can take a look, and if there's any wordsmithing or whatever, let me know. Otherwise, I'm hoping we're ready to go to the CTC.
Excellent.
So Sam, just for you, the one issue we had on the agenda was going through the charter proposal, charter PR. And I was just saying, I think it reflects all of our conversations. So we're just asking people to go through and review and approve or suggest changes if it needs to be changed.
Okay, I've just skimmed it under the assumption that you guys are taking care of it perfectly fine, but I'll read it and give it a thumbs up.
Sure. We just need to get a little momentum on that front, that's all.
Okay, yeah, if that helps, I'll review it.
Sounds good.
Okay, I think that's it then.
Nice and easy. Okay, so I guess, are there any questions? We should probably check.
Yep. There are 6 viewers, so I guess for viewers, you can post questions either in the issue for the meeting or in IRC.
Speaking of which channel is the LTS or just like a Node.js one?
I think just in the Node.js dev channel is usually what we do. Gonna reboot the. I don't see any questions in the issue. Nothing in IRC. We can probably say that we're closed. I guess, is there anything else that we should update people on before we close out? I can't. Our next meeting will be in 3 weeks, right?
There was one. Someone did ask about the LTS schedule. I've had a couple of people saying, "Oh, like where is it? Can't find it." And I know it's not final in any way or sort of like set in stone, but yeah, I have a couple of people kind of like, "Oh, it's an issue. I didn't realize." Like,
Well, you mean not the LTS? Well, the
basically Miles just saying, "Here's a rough guess of when we'll do the next few like,
yes.
6.x releases." Yeah. I'm not sure it's worth putting it anywhere more permanent.
Yeah, so I mean, like as a follow-up, we did that issue last time, and I guess it was around January, and just outlined all the or March, just outlining all the releases for the quarter. We've pretty much stuck to that, except for last week due to technical problems. And I think the fact that it was kind of loose the way it was allowed us to just kind of like post something in there and delay it, and it's not such a big deal. I do like the idea of working towards more official release dates, and I think the first Tuesday of every month has been a good standard, but I also don't feel comfortable completely committing to that until we're able to have more people committing to like regularly auditing the backports. I've just been busy, for example, the last 3 weeks, so I haven't had time to backport stuff, and now, you know, we have a backlog of about 300 commits to go through.
Right. So one in between, I wonder if we could put a link to that issue or to the, the current issue on the main README.
Or can we just emphasize that it's like it's not set in stone? Here's a rough guess at when we might do the next. Like can we keep in the ambiguity or the undefinedness without?
I personally think that a certain amount of ambiguity is, how do I say this? Like, whenever you say you do anything, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will. You do your absolute best, but, if your build machines melt down, you just have to post a message saying, sorry.
Right. Now, having said that, it's easier to post a message in an issue to say, hey, by the way, we're shifting this than to have to update the README, right?
Yeah.
So I can see not, if it's something we think is going to change more often, it's easier not to have it directly in the README where you have to do a PR and all that.
We could put it in a wiki if we wanted, like split the difference. Right?
Yeah, that would be fine.
We could make a release date wiki, and that would be pretty discoverable. Like, that's more discoverable than an issue. We could reference the wiki, and that link to the wiki would never change. And then we're able to not only update the wiki, but the audits to the wiki can be viewed in the history. So it's pretty clear when things are changed.
Yeah, that sounds good to me too. So that or the issue, just keeping to use the issue, but maybe putting the issue on the README would be so people could find it. That would be about.
Yeah, as Mark said, I like the idea of having the history and having like a continuous link. Oh, it's in the wiki, like it's.
Yeah, I know.
It's a tangible thing.
So yeah, okay. Feel free to put me down for that action item. I can follow up on that.
Okay, I'll do that. Cool.
In terms of the auditing, I guess you mentioned we have a big backlog. I know, Gibson, you were doing some auditing as well, and I think even Sam, you were starting to look at a few of those. Is it that there were lots of things to be audited, or what? Or is that separate from the backportings?
We did a little work to go through stuff before the last. It was for this last 6.x minor release. I don't know. Is it supposed to be an ongoing process, or?
Yeah, basically, like with the way our release process works, is you have a release, then 2 weeks later you have an RC, and then 2 weeks later you have a release. So basically, we almost need to, like, the second that we've cut a release, we need to start auditing for the next release. And while it's in an RC, we get 2 weeks off. But it's kind of like it's a never-ending Sisyphean task. I guess it's just a Sisyphean task. It's Sisyphean implies that it's never-ending. I apologize for being verbose there.
So I think, from my perspective, I think maybe from Gibson's as well, what works better is if one of us gets, like if we decide, okay, you are going to do it for this next one.
I mean, for this one, I spent probably about a week just off and on doing it. I didn't sit down and do it for a whole day. And I probably did 100 and, I don't know, maybe 100 plus commits. But then again, there were like 450. So that's...
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot.
I also think that we're dealing with a really, really large delta right now because we have all of the extra commits that came in 8.0. Also, we had a longer RC process for the minor release. So the combination of the two made like this audit about twice as large. And then, of course, GitHub coming in and blocking us on the days that I had actually like put aside like blocks of time to audit. I ended up spending my time like researching GraphQL and playing with various caching techniques. It ended up being this really wonderful GitHub employee, Michelle Tilley, came together and actually took an entire day of work because GitHub had a fixed open source thing going on last week, and they spent like a whole day and came up with a PR against changelog maker that doesn't trigger the abuse prevention mechanism. So quick shout out to them. Thank you so much, Michelle. We really, really appreciate the work that you put in.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I guess like it's, you know, I was just, you were starting the discussion on how it might best be to handle them, right? Is it that you think if it was smaller that assigning one person would make sense versus?
If one person has time, like, I mean, the reality of it is you need between 2 and 3 full working days to prepare to do an audit for the release is like what it comes down to. And that's at the speed that I go. And I think like Gibson's speeding up. As you do more, you get faster at it, but I still think I'm going relatively faster as I go through. Sure. So like, essentially if we assume it's like 30 working hours as like, let's just call that a bar right now per release of auditing. Assigning it to one person helps. Having multiple people volunteer helps. I think it's more just about intention. As long as we have people who are intentionally putting time aside and communicating about it. Gibson and I were really good and on top of it. And I think that had we not run into the tooling problems last week, it would have been fine. But at the same time, if Michael, if you can find time, or James, if you can find time, or Sam, like, I know for myself, new job, I don't have as much time. Like,
right.
I'm not 100% on it anymore. So it's like, it's impossible for me to have the same amount of time.
So have we written down the instructions of the steps?
Yeah, I started trying to write some stuff down just as I was doing it, but it's not really properly set out. It's more just a list of mistakes I've made so far. I did find that it did work reasonably well, like, yeah, going between two of us. It wasn't sort of like, oh no, Mars is doing it, should I be doing it? Because none of us have like 6 hours to just sit down and do it. It's like, okay, I've got a couple of hours, I'll do it now. And then like, as long as it's clear, as long as it's not two people doing it at the same time, it kind of worked.
Yeah. And when we did the auditing team meeting, we had that one meeting where just like hop in the IRC channel and say when you're doing it, and it's fine. I think it's just more about like, maybe we just need to be a little bit more intentional for the release who's going to be doing it. Since like, I mean, when the assumption was that I would just do all the work, it was really easy because I would just do all the work.
Yeah. Yeah, and sort of the call out, like, if we got to get ready, and if it's not converging, make the call out to say, hey, we need more people to start jumping in or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's also possibly like in our best interest to like start the ball rolling literally like the day after the release. Is like just people, like, we have the releases on a Tuesday. On that Wednesday, we should just have a sign up, and like people just volunteer to put so many hours in the first week. Like, because literally you get like the week of the release, you have 1 week in between, and then the RC is coming out the Tuesday of the next week. It's really, it's actually a fairly fast turnaround to do a monthly release. And so I think just being more intentional about it will solve that problem. And not having GitHub think that we're hackers.
Yep.
From my perspective, I'm not always keeping as sharp an eye on things, but I do have time available. I don't know, about 3 days in a row. So if if there's PRs that need backporting, if like you tag me, I can do a backport, and I can also spend 2-3 hours on an afternoon and progress a branch forward. But it's a little helpful for somebody to kind of tag me and say, "Hey Sam, will you start here?" or at least for me to know that it would be helpful for me to put my shoulder to the wheel, so to speak.
So what Gibson started doing was creating these audit issues.
Right.
And like maybe we can use the audit issues for like volunteering time blocks. And as long as we do that, then we can be coordinated about when we're doing it. And like we can use that issue to keep track of like what was the last commit that was audited. Because like really all we need to do is kind of like make our way across that linear history once. And we're good. Because I mean, at the end of the day, for the LTS release, like when James was originally doing this stuff, I started auditing it much more aggressively than I think James ever even imagined we would be doing for LTS. Like I probably created 100 times the work to what James originally was thinking would happen, and that was mostly because, unfortunately, there was no middle ground. I think the hope was that like people would land the things that were important, but it wasn't happening, and so like you kind of do just need to read everything so that we don't miss things that are important. But maybe we just decide that that's not scalable. But we'll figure it out.
It's reasonable to me. I can keep an eye on the issue tracker.
Cool.
Yeah, I think if you like open the new one, say we're starting, you @CC people so they're aware, and then and we can see how that goes.
And doing it early makes sense as well. Also, it's kind of nice to have like, because then every issue which you're considering for backporting has like a link to Node 6.10.1 backporting or audit, and then it's kind of really clear where something was considered and where it was. You kind of have that trail.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think once you get those instructions, then it'll also make easy.
Yeah.
It'll be easier for some people to read through those and say, yeah, okay, I can kick in a few hours a month too, right?
Sure. I think just sitting down with someone though and just like doing it collaboratively for a bit to get into the swing of it really helps as well.
Also, like, I mean, for what it's worth, I am on the road a lot. I am traveling a lot, but I'm like pretty good at being on top of my calendar. So like if any of the people on this call, I mean, like I think James and Gibson have it under control, but like Michael or Sam or even, James or Gibson, if you want to do it, if you just give me a heads up a week in advance that you want to spend like 2 hours pairing with me, I can do that. I just need to like book it like a week in advance. But other than that, I have no problem putting together the time for us to pair.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, pretty much all of my time right now is being spent on either on the HP2 implementation.
Yeah, no, do
or
that.
uniform stuff.
Just do that.
So it'll probably be not. It probably won't be until later July that I'll be able to start getting back into backporting stuff. But I'll definitely be doing that.
So James, speaking about HTTP2 and backporting, I'm going to ask the difficult question. Do you think that HTTP2 could end up in Node version 6 as a backport to a Semver minor version?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, there are no breaking changes whatsoever to any existing part of Node. It's all Semver minor.
Interesting.
I'm tweeting that right now, so I'm holding you to it.
Yeah, we should be able to pull it back, no problem. Right now, I'm just making sure that it's going to work on all the platforms we support. So that would be the only thing to make sure if there's any platform variances. But I don't anticipate there'd be any issue whatsoever.
That's interesting. 8.x goes LTS in October, right?
Yeah.
So potentially we could get HTTP2 in an LTS version maybe in October.
That's why I'm working as hard as I can to get it done. So.
I'm sure it's a mountain of work. Yeah.
So you all may find this kind of funny. Mark Hinkle just tweeted about learning about the word Sisyphean task, which means that our executive director is one of the fine fellas, or one of the fine individuals who's listening to us right now. So hi, Mark.
Okay. Okay, I guess anything else that we need to cover before we close out?
Nope.
Should be good.
Okay, great. I'm going to hit the stop, and we'll talk to you guys all again soon. Thanks to everybody for coming out to who's watching on the stream. Thanks to everybody who's watching. Bye.
Bye.